With this, we are ready for our next session, which is on cost economics and new business models. And for the same, we have with us Dr. Pankaj Kumar Sampath from IDEC. Dr. Sampath, have you joined us?
Yes.
Good afternoon, Dr. Sampath. I am going to briefly introduce you, and then you could start sharing your screen. And after we have your presentation, we are going to take some questions from the audience.
Fine.
I am going to briefly introduce you, Dr. Sampath. Dr. Sampath, like I said, Senior Vice President, Head Urban Infrastructure Development Corporation of Karnataka, IDEC. He has over 3 decades of experience in urban development, including water supply, town planning, and buildings. He is also Associate Director, India PPP Capacity Building Trust, and member, Expert Committee for Sensor-Based Geospatial Urban Applications, Departments of Science and Technology. As Vice President Planning at GIFT India, he contributed to the development of India's first international financial services center, which is the GIFT City. He is currently working in the areas of urban water supply projects, smart cities, wastewater reuse, digital water management, lake rejuvenation, housing and municipal solid waste management, along with ICT applications. Dr. Sampath is civil engineer from SP University. He has a master's degree in infrastructure planning and a PhD from CEPT University, Gujarat. Dr. Sampath, please, if you could start sharing your screen. Shpreet, have you given him the presenter's view? I think yes, we have.
I think my screen is visible.
Yes, sir, it's visible, sir.
Okay, in a full mood.
Yes, sir, it's visible, sir.
Okay, and am I audible also clearly?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Okay, so thank you very much for introducing me. Good afternoon, friends, and really I am very much delighted to meet you on this conference on wastewater management. It is my privilege to speak. Can you see my video also?
Sir, we can't see your video.
That's why I am doubtful that. So you need to on my video. So yeah, I think let me. Now it is fine. So really, friends, delighted to meet you. Sorry for bit interruption. It is my privilege to speak along with eminent speaker. My previous speaker established tone for the day on the subject. They have spoken already on HAM, one city, one operator, and definitely I would like to take it forward. Really, I'm thankful to India Infrastructure for inviting me and giving me opportunity to speak on the subject before the August audience. The subject given to me is on cost economics and new business models, mainly HAM and one city, one operator, etc. But I will take you through few questions first and share relevant information about this cost economics of the wastewater treatment, and hope you will find it very interesting. So let us start our journey. My slide is not changing.
Sir, if you could just click on the screen once and then use.
Okay, I think it is now changed.
Yeah, it's changing now.
Mouse.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So I will take you through few questions, important questions and relevant information about this cost economics, and then we will take up a few questions on the subject. So what factors determine the viability of wastewater treatment and management projects? So first of all, at the outset, I would like to say that wastewater treatment is compulsory by law, and it is minimum need. In case of India, just what we heard throughout the day, that there is a gap even we are not treating our wastewater. There is a huge gap to meet the minimum compulsory requirement as per the law. So this is the treatment is minimum requirement by law, but the management intent for the betterment of environment and society. But still it is a matter of choice in India. Generally everywhere where water is surplus, we are not adopting best practices for water management or wastewater management. So far factors are concerned, particularly city population, because generally the wastewater generation depends on the population of the city. The higher the population, higher the wastewater generation. Overall viability also depends on water stress. Suppose if you are think of a Gujarat, Maharashtra, like state Rajasthan, water stress states, there is water is a demand and there is a viability because of water stress is already exists there. But in a state like Kerala or Bihar or Northeast, there is no water stress. Water is surplus. So water stress is also a very important factor to consider for the viability of this such projects. Cost recovery. Many times cost recovery is a major issue. Neither you will be nor government or nor public in a position to pay the cost for treatment because of willingness to pay and their capability to pay also in some cases. So that's why they are just living with wastewater and they just take all the risk and health hazard what this wastewater brings to them. So socio-economic and lifestyle and economics of the city also deriving the viability of wastewater. If city is more vibrant, industrial, the lifestyle, garden, parks, horticulture, fountains, everything is, if it is flourishing, all these are water demand, water required activities. So socio-economic standard of the city is also very important to decide the viability of the project. Water demand supply gap for economic activities. Sometime in a water stress state, there is a priority. Drinking water is first priority and very limited water is available for industrial and as well for agriculture. Forget about horticulture and floriculture and tourism point of view or commercial demands in water stress states. So demand supply gap is also very important to consider. And environmental and ecological benefits that we will discuss in coming slides also in detail. In my view, defining the challenges clearly is very important to understand the viability of wastewater treatment project, because every city has a specific characteristic, very specific quality of wastewater generation, geography, topography, and environmental condition. So we should be very much city specific while assessing the wastewater treatment project. So it is broadly now known and established fact that wastewater is a resource. Economic valuation of wastewater should be based on both the cost of action and the cost of no action. In many cases, if you are not treating your wastewater, taking no action, it is also a cost. So as per UNDP, cost of no action is also an economic cost to the society. What are the new and innovative funding sources for these projects? So funding, before going to the sources, funding depends on the scale and location of the project, as I explained in my previous slide. Demand of residues, whether manure or treated wastewater, is there any demand? Willingness to pay for the services available or for the treated wastewater, manure or any other power, electricity, biogas, whatsoever. Government policy are major governing factor to decide funding for the project. My previous speaker has already established that Namami Gange is just very in limelight, but government of India is backing there. So back-to-back mechanism is very important. So that's why government policy and policy for conditioning or mandating industries to use the treated wastewater, all these things are very important for deciding the funding. In general, in India, government grants, few ULBs make their provision in their budget for wastewater projects. Loans are also available from the multilateral banks, HUDCO, LIC, etc. Sometimes larger corporations float municipal bond, invite infrastructure bond also. Private sector investment is also one of the good example where various PPP models has been already explained by my previous speaker. So BOT, BOOT, DBOT, lots of varieties available. So this is also in practice. HAM is also one of that product. Another model I would like to say is that direct user model. Particularly in wastewater, in many cases, cities where large industrial establishment is there. Industries like Reliance or SR or large pharmaceutical or large textile, where they can take up the complete wastewater, treat and use it, or for power generation also. So where direct user comes into the picture with the government, they promote, they develop, and they use it and they operate for their own benefit. So now that direct user model is also coming into the picture. Innovative financing in advanced countries. I would like to give you a few ideas on innovative financing, which is being practiced in USA, Singapore, or in Europe also. So first of all, I would like to suggest that there must be some provision in grant programs. They should support impact investing detailed developments. Deal with the development. How to deal with the development is very important, first of all, for that city. ULB has no budget, state has no budget for research and pre-development stage. Always just they invite RFP and start with, they intend to start with the project. Then who will do the pre-development exercise? So it is very important to make a small piece of provision for this kind of activity as an innovative fund, which will meet the requirement of pre-development stage, engagement of the various water sector bodies, NGOs like this, and planning for planning purpose. Particularly to develop the green infrastructure. This is in practice everywhere in Europe and America. Another innovative model, funding model is Watershed Infrastructure Development, WID. It would encourage private investment by tying incentives to new land and stormwater policies and ensure that green infrastructure projects can be funded at scale. They allow to use stormwater also. Private agency can just capture the stormwater, develop the entire water cycle, supply the water, collect the wastewater, and then overall they can bring the green infrastructure to the city. So that watershed, it starts from stormwater, watershed management. That's why it is called WID. This is innovative, not being practiced in India. Another is environmental impact bonds. It is based on pay for success. So city will pay for success if the private sector or they are meeting the project environmental and socio-economic goals. If financial modeling meets all these goals, then city will pay them what they get. Otherwise, city will be, it is just like milestone basis, goal basis payment. So this is also one of the innovative, but here it encourages the local environmental and social investors, those who want to ready to take the risk and invest the fund. So this is one of the model which is based on environmental impact assessment being practiced in the advanced countries. What the new business model being explored for project implementation? What are the key sources of revenue? So it is well-known fact that in wastewater treatment, mainly tertiary treated wastewater is the main resource for the revenue. However, manure, bio, in terms of energy conversion, also may be source of revenue for that particular project. In general, projects, as I explained earlier, that it depends on scale of the project. The funding would depend on the scale of the project, and it also decides the project's government approach to develop. So generally, for a small project in Gujarat for wastewater treatment, government is coming forward that if it is just project scale is up to 100 crore for small towns, then government is ready to take it on EPC, 100% investment. Now government has come forward with the policy. So projects up to 100 crore, government will invest. There is no need to, and then project will be handed over to ULB. HAM model, much has been discussed on that, but particularly it is not only for Namami Gange. It is being practiced in UP recently, and it is derived from this highway sector. In next slide, I will share some details of the HAM operations also, but it has very larger scope. And if project scale is more than 500 crore, 1000 crore, where we can think of BOOT and BOT, but in India it is not happening because it is a long 30 years investment and no private sector companies, as my previous speakers has already established, that government is not finding more competition also, very limited players in India. So actually we need to bring or promote good players who can participate, come forward to take larger projects. But really in India, privatization is in just first phase, very beginning phase. That's why our size of the player is also very limited. They cannot take up projects of 5,000 crore, 10,000 crore, 20,000 crore, just like in Europe, America. So just we are growing, we are developing, our resources are limited. One city, one operator model has been already explained. So I don't want to repeat, but I will talk some technical matters in the next slide. So HAM already much marketed and proven tool nowadays. So I think it is a good idea. Requires upscaling and integration of the current practice for the water sector projects development in India. My previous speaker from Vishwaraj Infrastructure has already said that why to only wastewater? Just think of a complete water cycle. One city, one operator concept in Europe and America, advanced countries, is not limited to wastewater treatment only. It should be focused on service coverage of one water. One water means water supply, wastewater treatment, storm water, water reuse, groundwater management, everything. One city, one operator, which will manage the complete entire water cycle and then again leave the treated water completely safe to environmental with the minimum impacts and taking care of all ecological requirements. So now I think it is upcoming, but we should now think of a higher scale of a one water, which covers the entire spectrum of water supply, water management, integrated water resource management. So again, one model nowadays in a smart city mission, or there are so many popular SPVs. We are always saying that the ULBs are in a vicious cycle. ULB have a very limited funding and all these things. So what we can think of innovative, local city trust, office of water, which can float the bond, which can manage the water, complete water cycle in a city. So these are the innovative ideas. We can think of a office.
So sorry to interrupt. 5 more minutes for the presentation.
Okay, I will finish as early as possible. Water is a basic need for life. It's a matter of service to the people. So the trust of the people should be at apex, not profit or for the business. Which business model to prefer? SPV, special purpose vehicle, or trust? It requires lots of time to think at government level also. HAM model, just briefly, I will quickly run through some technical matters. It is a combination of EPC plus BOT floated by Ministry of Road and Transport and Highways. HAM is a good trade-off. In my view, HAM is a good trade-off which spreading the risk between developers and government. It is a win-win situation. That's why it is being in demand. 40% government, 60% concessioner, where 60% is again 25% they should be funding from the own and 35% maybe in the form of debt from the bank. Project construction and maintenance are concessioner's liability. 60% as annuity payments over the operations period, maybe 10 to 20 years, depending on the size of the project, concessioner is responsible. Revenue collection, all clearances risk, compensation risk, commercial risk, and consumption risk taken by the government. Means concessioner is not taking all these risks. Government is providing 40% and all the previous risk I explained by government. But what private sector bring in? They bring in their expertise, efficiency, optimum use of the plant, energy efficiency, all these things are the quality from the private sector. So what are the benefits to government? Government can flag off the project at part investment, only 40%, they can flag off the 3 projects at the same time. So at a part investment, they can flag off more number of projects. Better social and economic benefits are the advantage to government because of solving the issues. And it is successfully applied in highway sector, but we need not to look at highway sector. Now it is already being practiced in Ganga mission. The same can be taken forward to the others. What steps are being taken to market the residues or byproducts of STPs? As I explained, the treated wastewater, TWW, making wastewater reuse effective option for ensuring water availability for economic and environmental growth of the city. It keeps harmony between nature and society. Nutrients recovery also in terms of fertilizer or manure, you have a source of revenue, biogas, and power generation. Mainly energy neutral or surplus wastewater treatment plant viable more than 2 lakh population onwards. Just very quickly look at the graph. Here I would like to show you how wastewater treatment plant in Sweden change from electricity consumption to the biogas completely in a span of 12 years. 12 years, blue color shows the electrical consumption initially in 2002. By 2019, it is completely on biogas. So this is very important. I would like to say this monthly energy surplus table for the plant where net energy is being saved. So particularly one question was just I listened from the audience that there should be some small scale model also. So we can think of small scale model also while developing the water use facilities. Industrial estates and power plants are most promising consumer. That is well known fact, and power policy 2016 and everybody is saying that they are major consumer. It is fine, but minimum environmental flow in the rivers is a major issue in the state of Gujarat, Rajasthan and Maharashtra, watershed state, where government should think of if water nearby power plant is not there, it should be used for environmental and ecological flows in the river. Gap in agriculture water demand supply can be minimized through TWW. Tertiary wastewater based economic model suitable for small group of farmers also. On a cooperative basis, they can start developing non-edible crops like mulberry. In Karnataka, they are producing mulberry. Silk cocoons, developing silk yarns. On a small scale, farmers using wastewater, it is possible. All these are successful models in the Karnataka. marigold flowers. That can be wonderful product. Jate is a medicinal plants that can be also very good crop for wastewater treatment for agriculture farming point of view. Compost after 3 months sells at the rate of around 15 to 22,000 rupees per tractor load, lifted by farmers himself. Lake conservation, sometime particularly in city, Bangalore, from where I belongs to, lake conservation is also a major issue. To save your lakes, you have to treat the wastewater. City development by tourism, beautification, fountains, green spaces, sports grounds, all these activities require water. This is my last slide. Just during lunch also, it was displayed, but I would like to just save 2 minutes something about this. Capacity building is a major issue in wastewater treatment. And at India PPP Capacity Building Trust and IDEC, we are trying to address this requirement. We are training at IS Academy, Lal Bahadur Shastri Academy in Mussoorie also. We are now coming up with India Infrastructure as our media partner, and in coordination with TERI and Carleton University, Kerala, how to develop wastewater reuse facilities. This is a big challenge, and capacity building is one of the major issues. Since morning, all the speaker has highlighted from the government side that capacity building from private and government side, both is required. So we are coming forward with one online training and capacity building program. We intend to launch between 1st to 15 November, and these 9 sessions has been planned, and we will try to reach you through Indian Infrastructure in near future. Hope you will find it very interesting, and again, we will look forward to see you there. So I think this is the last slide from my side.
Thank you.
We can take question answer.
Thank you, Dr. Sampath, for a very interesting presentation. We have time for 2 or 3 questions from my side. So, what have been the trends in O&M cost recovery, and which cities have performed better in this particular aspect?
O&M cost recovery, I think still we are struggling. All the cities are struggling at various scale. Particularly, suppose, for example, Surat. Surat has a textile belt. City engineer from Surat, Jain engineer from Surat has explained that they have a large consumer base, and they can think of tertiary treated water. Singapore based Hyflux, I think they developed this plant. And Surat is a very vibrant city, very economic, so lots of financial resources. ULB is very powerful. So they can afford to develop RO-based treatment, large treatment plant, and where textile industries is also willing to pay. So this is, I think, one of the best example from Gujarat, which is, I think, already established, and where users are also using. And they are also not trying to sell treated wastewater, but they are trying to maintain the Tapi River under Swarnim, Gujarat. That is also explained in the previous sessions. So Gujarat is also doing well. In Bangalore also, we have developed lots of tertiary treatment plant, and almost more than 100 MLD treated wastewater is available. But marketing of treated wastewater near urban area is also a challenge. If you can't market it, from where you will recover the cost? So Bangalore itself is struggling. Developing infrastructure is one thing. Government has developed infrastructure. Now daily, large volume of this treated wastewater is available, but nobody is user available. So marketing is a big challenge. Where city like Delhi or Bangalore, Hyderabad, large population, I'm talking about metros. 2-tier, second-tier city may not have such problem because of limited wastewater generation. Yes. So they can meet the demand, but
yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, sir, my next question is, this is from a delegate, Dr. Mohammed. He wants to know that, is it a viable option to construct CETPs and reuse the treated wastewater for secondary purposes?
I am not expert on CETP, but from my experience, I can say that, Dr. Mohammed, CETP, secondary treated, CETP itself is a very costly affair. And it will be very difficult if industry is nearby ready to use it, then only you can recover the cost. Otherwise, CETP treated water is not viable for agriculture or any other application.
Yes, okay. So the next question is from Mr. Tarun Gurnani. He wants to know what are the predominant financing programs presently flourishing in Indian market for reuse treated sewage?
Flourishing, already HAM is already flourishing, that I told. Okay, but we need to expand this model. HAM is only just one small, you can say that one small piece of PPP concept. If you just see PPP on a larger spectrum, HAM is one of the product only. So depending on case specific requirements, scale of the project, city requirement, funding options available, whether World Bank, ADB is backing the project, Government of India is supporting, or what are the demand from the industries, or sensitivity of the people, the society of that particular city. So if everything is matching, you can have a variety of financial model options available depending on win-win situations. You can, if large player is available, you can think of watershed investment also, WID model. You can think of complete all water cycle management. But who is the player in India? In Europe, America, I think Veolia, and there are many large-scale operators, they do this one water management. But in India, we are just short of players. Adani Infrastructure, Sapurji Palanji, Viswaraj, all they are just started with some small segment of wastewater treatment because of our government policies. If government policy will come up with more risk sharing and with more courage to take the risk, and they start facilitating this kind of development, definitely more and more private sector player will come forward to take a larger risk. And bank also should provide large scale of funding. World Bank, ADB should provide not only sector specific, means wastewater STP project. Why they are not providing funding for the entire city water management? So I think these are the issues need to be addressed by Government of India at multilateral bank level.
All right. Thank you, sir. Sir, before I close the session, there are a couple of delegates who want to share your presentation. So who want to see your presentation. So is it possible for us to share your presentation with the delegates?
Of course, why not?
So if you could just send your presentation. Yeah, please send your presentation to Pamela, and we are going to share it with the other delegates. Thank you so much.
Knowledge sharing always welcome.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I think on this note, I'll bring this session to a close. Thank you very much, Dr. Sampath, for joining us today. It was a very informative and interesting session. Thank you.